One of the most common questions I get from clients, particularly in high net worth divorces, is about alimony. So today I want to discuss the eligibility criteria for alimony, how much alimony you can get in Texas, the duration of alimony that you're eligible to receive in Texas, whether alimony can be terminated, and whether alimony payments can be modified in the future. To be eligible for alimony in the state of Texas, you have to have been married at least 10 years. And you also have to demonstrate to the court that upon divorce, meaning after all the assets are divided, you will lack sufficient income to meet your minimum reasonable expenses. Now, the family code doesn't define what minimum reasonable expenses are, but there is case law that says that minimum reasonable expenses does not mean the same lifestyle that you enjoyed during the marriage. So provided you've been married for at least 10 years, and after all of the assets are divided, you still will not have enough money to meet your essential day-to-day expenses, then you may be eligible to receive alimony. So what that means in more practical terms is, let's say you have a multi-million-dollar estate and you get 50% of it, effectively making you a millionaire at the end of the divorce. It's highly unlikely in that scenario that you're going to receive any court-ordered alimony. On the other hand, if you have a smaller estate and after you receive the assets from the divorce, the court determines that you won't have enough resources to meet your minimum reasonable needs, then the court may award you alimony. So let's get to the second question. How much alimony can you get in the state of Texas? The law provides a very clear cap, a limit on how much alimony you can get. And that limit is either 20% of the other spouses, the spouse who's going to be paying the alimony, 20% of that spouse's gross monthly income, or $5,000, whichever figure is lower. So essentially, the most amount of alimony you can get in Texas is $5,000 per month. Now, you should not assume if you're going through a divorce, you're necessarily going to receive the maximum amount, but it is a guidepost that at least can inform how much, or at least the limit, the outer limit of what you can expect to receive. A related question, obviously, is, well, how long can I get alimony? Again, the law provides very clear parameters on that question too. If you've been married at least 10 years but less than 20 years, and the maximum amount of time you can receive alimony is 5 years. If you've been married at least 20 years but less than 30 years, and the maximum duration of alimony is 7 years. And then finally, if you've been married for at least 30 years, the maximum duration of alimony is 10 years. Under what circumstances does alimony terminate? Family code provides that alimony terminates upon the death of either party, meaning if the person who's paying the alimony dies, then that person's obligation to continue paying dies with him or her. Another circumstance in which alimony can terminate is if the person receiving alimony cohabitates with somebody with whom they're having a dating relationship. So you meet someone after you get divorced, you're receiving alimony, you have a romantic relationship with that person, and you all move in together, then the party who's paying you alimony can petition the court to have the alimony obligation extinguished. Finally, the last question. Under what circumstances can alimony be modified? Family code provides an answer to that too. Alimony can be modified if there's been a material and substantial change in either party's circumstance since when the original order for alimony has been entered. So let's say your ex-husband is paying you alimony, but your ex-husband loses his job a couple of years after the divorce while his obligation to pay you alimony is still existing. He can petition the court to have his alimony obligation either reduced or completely eliminated. It's important to note that alimony can only be adjusted downward. It can never be adjusted upward, meaning, let's say the court orders a specific sum of alimony paid to you for 3 years, and your husband gets a higher paying job, a substantially higher paying job, your ex-husband. You can't go and petition the court to ask the court to recalculate the alimony based on the increase in income. Again, alimony can only be reduced downward, never upward.